Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question. Thank you so much for your donation, TM. Or I'm sorry, yes, TM. Great viewer question. This is going to be an awesome video. Thank you so much, not only for your donation, but for your great question. We haven't touched on this for some time, and that's to sort of discuss, the question is, can we kind of discuss the Peter Pan syndrome and how it relates to sort of covert narcissism and insights on this. So thank you so much for your great question. And once again, if you have a question, something that you have a burning desire or something that you're trying to fit together and gel for understanding, feel free to ask a question, make a donation, put a comment, something so we can get to that. So this is an awesome viewer question. Peter Pan is famously known that he does not want to grow up. He's a character that can fly through the skies. He can zip and zippity-doo-dah. He's thrilling. He's freeing. He's like he possesses all the magic of a child. Yet there are certain ways about him that aren't pure, that aren't innocent, that aren't childlike, and are certainly not magical. Even though he pretends, and I'm going to bring this up, even though Peter Pan had these abilities to fly and sort of would want to invite people, but then just be poof and gone in a second and sort of just appear as if they didn't really even care, like Tinkerbell. Just they not really sort of appreciating, just sort of look at my magic and then poof, they're gone. In other words, and how does this relate to a covert narcissist? Well, it's very much like we talk about the insatiable narcissist. It's always about their needs. Their needs trump the show, whatever show it is. They are very much like stuck in this childhood, very immature stage of development. Even as adults, they will throw a tantrum. You can't go to their dinner spot. Something doesn't look right in the hotel. Something isn't right at the business meeting. And they start stampering. Literally, putting their foot down and stamping their foot. Trying to pound the table. Get other people's attention. Using other sort of put downs to others. You're bad. Like you'd see a kid in a sandbox. The kid who goes, look, we're building this castle, you and I, thank you for your work, and then they throw sand in your eye, and you're not part of the build, you're not part of the magic, because you don't have the magic to play. So it's the covert narcissist insinuates through sort of their look at eye, they're like the Peter Pan, the very similar, and we're going to sort of equate this to a Michael Jackson, okay, because I was just thinking about this, but they're the covert narcissist in this sort of complex, when they're stuck in this very childish, it's all about irresponsible play. There's no tomorrow. Let's just live it up. They, as if there's no tomorrow that they have to wake up for. It's 4:00, they're still partying, you got to go to work. And if you're not superhero, Peter Pan enough, if you don't have that jet fuel of irresponsibility, well, what kind of fool are you? You would need a job, need to grow up. Sometimes you have a freckle, a mole, something, that is part of maturing, and they try to say, you've got a squiggly hair, your hair's too straight, you got a freckle, a mole, your smile's out of place, your heart, anything, your appetite is wrong, you turn on the lights, why are you turning the lights on? You open up the refrigerator, why are you opening up the refrigerator? They try to get you where you're going in the flow like a child, and then as you grow into mature, you have to keep that flow going to be responsible, to adjust, to transition, to not feeling that You can't handle things. So the covert narcissist, because they want to severely restrict their inattention to their own personal reality, which means if they can have things catered to them, brought to them, delivered, please, deliver the meal under the door. In other words, they want you to deliver, to pansy to them. These are your peacocks. They want you to always, as if you're a peacock, if you're on the set or scene or in a relationship with them, they expect you, like you're just going to wave some sort of peacock feather at them while they're sort of, just fanning their flames as if you don't have any magic of your own. You don't have any brilliance. You don't have any wisdom, any sense of right, any sort of, you kind of see something that they don't. They think that they're they pretend to be omnipotent, flying through the air. They see everything, know everything. No, they don't. That is the lie that they put out there. That is the jealousy, the envy, and the greed that a child has. My toys, they don't want to share. My sandbox, my crayons, mine, and then it's always this. So, and really interesting because insights on that, because it's they get themselves very like a smooth criminal. Okay, Michael Jackson, we're going to talk about this. What an incredible talent. I mean, we're going to, just talking about it gives me goosebumps. People, remember, we're going to kind of shimmy into this really quick. Michael Jackson, I grew up in the 90s, okay? We studied, the Thriller dance, okay? The way hit the moonwalk, okay? The way that he could spin, okay, just maybe 20 or 30 times, and it was like he was floating on air. He would start out his shows, almost like Peter Pan. He had the nose. He did even look like a Peter Pan. He even had that skinny, look, very childish, not like a man, very boyish. But he was dazzling, enthralling, magical. If you went to his concerts, there would be, 20 or 30 ambulances because of all the people. 12 to 20, 120 would be there passing out, fainting. They just were screaming, okay, jumping up and down. And it doesn't matter. All spectrum of the rainbow, bringing, white and black, the keys on the keyboard. He introduced so many concepts. And he was the razzle dazzle. But yet, there's all these other allocations. We're not going to go into the negative, but we've all heard about whatever at Wonderland, whatever land that he developed. Don't even know that much about it, but I do remember that it had like a lot of animals and kids, and having kids drink the Jesus juice or whatever happened. That wasn't grape juice. I don't know anything about that. I'm not even going there. But and then that whole Pinocchio, where you're telling a lie and your nose grows. Well, it's that whole idea that they will tell a lie in or live a lie in meaning that they can stay in this irresponsible, impulsive, just sort of catering to themselves or expecting delivery without you sort of, knowing it. So they take people who are very mothering, who are very fathering, who, want to teach, who want to pick and rescue up a child, who love to love, cuddle, and nurture. You might as well, you could be, a woman and you could be holding the guy like this. You might even be seeing if you can lift them up physically. As if you have to have a superpower, as if to explain, justify, and be on equal footing. So it's part of the illusion. And there's a real chemistry. There's a real falling into the shimmery narcissist reality, like Narcissist just falling in love with himself, not realizing he was missing the big picture. He thought his ego, i.e. his physical appearance, was that to be banked on. Okay, and falling in love. So a narcissist, they don't really have the ability to, because of their greediness, because of their need to perpetually keep that greediness going, but code it in the I am an achiever, I'm the best, I can fly, I can jet, my everything is, there's everything in the way that they say can be turned around. There was just a murderer who was sent to death row, and before his lethal injection, he's like, "Don't worry about me, I'm ready to fly." I mean, as if the guy had no accountability for who or what he had ever done. He's just like Peter Pan, flying off. Does this guy get something that we don't? Is usually the assumption then in these Pinocchio types. You can't, it's like you have to stop thinking like the way that they're thinking. They seem to have this childish, which seems very attractive, very endearing, very charismatic. Oh, you want some of that? You want some of that? They're having all the fun. You better get in on it. What are you missing out? You're missing the fact that you really want to get married. You really want to have children. You really want to have a job. You don't want to have a poof job where it seems like it's a job, and then it's like, oh, you didn't realize that you're being, treated like a fool or lesser than. You're being told basically, or basically insinuated, you don't have any magic, you don't have any spark, you don't have any shimmer, shine. They can't reflect back that to you. They don't have that window. Their own lies get in the way. It is an obstacle. All they can see is the nose in front of them. All they can see is what they're smelling, thinking, feeling, wanting in a greed. So it's an unhealthy, excessive need for admiration. Greedy people, okay? Greedy for attention. You're trying to, and how does this happen in a covert way where they don't seem to be responsible for your downfall? But oops, it's because of the withholding. How does a covert narcissist, what does this look like in a workplace or a family or a relationship? A covert narcissist, they're always like on the down low. They're always like in the, they've got that cloak of innocence, of they can do no wrong. They're golden no matter what. And they can never sort of absorb the fact that anyone could have a question or to approach their entitlement as if it's something, you can't lie like this, or it's not true that only you possess the magic. There is magic here, but they can't recognize it. And so specifically in the covert narcissist, so they want to be like the smooth criminal. They want to sort of get what is handed to them without the work. They want to have titles without doing whatever requisite. They want to do the passive-aggressive bullying where they don't allow you your own fullness as a person. When, the passive-aggressive, which means they don't appear to be responsible for hurting you. They're kind of like the Mona Lisa or Mona Lisa men. They sort of have that smirk, but there's, did they do it? They leave that mystery dangling and hanging. and it's what they withhold. Yeah, there's nothing new going on when there's all sorts of information you should know. You're kind of on a need to know basis. It's the silence. It's the withholding of information. It's the withholding of attention. As a child, you need to know something. You were sick. Let's just say, for example, you're sick and you missed out on something in school. Let's keep it down at the child level. And then, so let's say in a school setting, because we do have a lot of, it's like, and then the child needs like remedial attention. Oh, you need to study pages 20 through 30. You need to do this and this. This is what you missed. This is what you need to know. No. It's the withholding of information. They're expecting you, and knowing that you don't know, understand, don't have the ability, don't have the privilege of you were sick, you were not there, you were not old enough. So it's sort of it's the withholding of opportunities for fear that you could, in your growing up, call them the child that they are. See that they're not really flying, that they're basically, they've got the, you're flying. It's, no, that's a pillowcase waving, to call it, you're not fly. You're making it appear as if. It's the all appear as if, and they put on Lady Gaga, the poker face. Okay, they will put on whatever face they need, as it's their toolbox. It's their sandbox that they use. It's the withholding of opportunity. Why? So you can't grow up, earn the money, be equipped, be really accomplishing and growing and getting credit. Why? Kids don't want to play. Mine, mine, mine. It's not yours. It's always there. Even your time isn't yours. It's like, your time is mine. Your everything, even the invisible, your love, your heart, your freedom, your ambition, your talent, your skill. It's just kind of like there's a and then there's a childish sort of arrow. Maybe they'll just, you're bad, and then, or try to, you're wrong, and just using, instead of being like, oh, that wasn't correct. That you were mistaken. Let me clarify that for you. It's, you're wrong. That's all. And then they will shut you down. Like, you are wrong. And then they'll have people then fearing that there's something wrong about them. And so just like, children, oh, I can't have any friends. That person has all the friends. And then they create the cliques or non-cliques. That sort of, that's their passive aggressive way of sort of moving the parts without appearing as if they have any hand in it whatsoever. Sort of, misuse of titles, pushing their weight around, making you seem weightless, as if, all the world is made up of faith and trust in pixie dust. That's, that's they're in some sort of dream. But the problem with the covert narcissist is they're not, I have a dream. Martin Luther King, where you're looking eye to eye and hand to hand. I have a dream. What could be more awakening? Okay, this is a man in action. This ain't no Peter Pan, Pinocchio story, guy who's gonna, blow up a lot of dust and pixie problems and make it seem like he's doing, have you ever seen someone who just, they kick up a lot of dust? They might stamp their foot a lot. These are the people in the digital age. they just start, they're just trying to annoy you. Oh, I'm sorry, my phone is going off. And they're just sort of, that you can't even hear them. Hello, hello, hello. Those people who, there's a moment of silence while you're thinking, hello? They're just always interjecting as if they can't hear you. And you think they should be able to hear you thinking because you're clearly processing and engaging, but they decline. There is this hello, hello, and just so as if they'll sort of feign guilt, to see as if your heart is on recording. Hello, hello, is anyone there? And then there's just sort of all the other then blame, guilt that's insinuated. You're not, you're not, and then, and then, as if then you're left magicless. You're left without the dance. You're left, you can't sing. Think. Why? Because the covert narcissist will sort of have this vacuous attention. And again, like Michael Jackson, if you check out like his, this is before we had the attachable headphones. Half the time the guy is, going like this so you can hear him. Check out some of his moves. Check out from the 90s, and then that was, when people could fly, at concerts, people, oh my God, this is so wild, it was really fantastic. So, but what I'm saying, like that whole, like you're just reeling. People, you can't come down from a Michael Jackson concert, I'm sure, for like 2 weeks. You're like, I can't even, there's something magical. But the whole problem, not with that, but there's something magical about you too. That's part of the covert narcissist. It's sort of the denying of the fans, denying of, as if they're superhuman. Michael Jackson, starting his whole concerts, the way he could go on his toes, unbelievable. Anybody else, we all tried to dance. That was our dance instructor trying to do those moves, the foot, the foot make, he's standing and then the one foot going like that. That was his signature move, okay? No one dances like that. That's his, he's getting up the dust. That's so cool, okay? But you also, your truth puts up the dust that they feel that they get lost in. They want to go poof. Nope, you're calling them out. It's like you're pouring the water over their color, and then all of a sudden you find out that they don't have all the magic. They're sort of doing this and this. You find out that they're real, and for some reason that is very scary to them. Why? Because a seed could have been planted. Oh, you better, live your life now because it's going to get worse when you're older, or some other sort of childhood scenario that they feel that they have developed or are living by, but they don't share. It sort of festers. The covert narcissists, or they sort of have this festering malevolent seed within them, and so that's why it's so dangerous, because it's the disappearing act. It's the thinking you have something and it's gone. The thinking you were on similar terms and you weren't. It's you thought that you were embracing them and you were just their jet fuel. You were just their warm, you were their meal ticket, you were their chocolate bar, whatever it was for that, but you thought it was real because this is what you feel as real. This is truth. So, meaning, what happens when you mix truth with that covert side? The truth part of them is you get lost. It's like an abyss. There is no bottom. So you'll continue to lose that until you come back and then realize there is no idolatry in growing up, meaning your growing is the magic. Your ability to live, recognize, and acknowledge the truth. And even when so it's part of the covert narcissist is they kind of always want to crumble down and keep people immature, irresponsible, throwing your life away, throw this weekend away, throw that year away. Why don't you just do this? And instead you're like, but you can't say it. So the covert, that's how they have their insatiable need for power and control. It doesn't end. It doesn't reach a contentment. You don't have any air that you can share. It's as if being real, having to clean, cook, learn, read, talk, share, all these things as if they're not able to be shared because it just takes away too much time for their other more sophisticated or their other pursuits, their other intellectual conquests, whatever money conquests, income, whatever they're trying to do to keep a disparity, which means there's the problem with a covert narcissist, just they're banking on that disparity. They create this disparity. What is disparity? Sounds like the opposite of a pair. A difference in level or treatment, especially one that seems unfair. Okay, there's a discrepancy. Something isn't adding up. You've got this sneaky feeling that you're trying to, something is imbalanced. There's an inequality. You were born a female. You were born a male. Your hair is darker. Your hair is lighter. I mean, God love the people in the community of black and brown, because with those people, I think they must have the same thing. A disparity in their own culture, a disparity in one's own family. The micro equals the macro, meaning the disparity of treatment. Your skin is too light. You're not, this and this. Your skin is too dark. You're da-da-da. Your skin is too caramel. You're too butterscotch. You're too marshmallow. You're too, you're acting coconut. What does that mean? I know, someone with, someone who's of a darker skin ethnicity who is white on the inside. What does that mean? Why, what is this disparity? And to be treated as if, and then you can't quite bank on what this unfairness is until you know the personality type. They will use projection, meaning the very wrongs that they harbor and are living, instead of that being out in the open, living out in the open, i.e. you're human, normal, you talk about feelings, thoughts, how do we get better, grow together, fair, okay? No, they don't participate. They will project what you have felt, what you have known. Your body does have a vagus nerve. Your feelings, your assessments, this seems a little off. Why are they eating that way? Why are they eating my food? Why are they always stealing the show? Why are they always the winner? Why are they always the leader? Why, so a lot of these unanswered questions, the covert narcissist, because they're banking on that sort of many shades of gray, that they're banking that you cannot see through or figure out to see them for the level or human that they are. They want to, super hero status is what they want to sort of be. They might have accomplished this in their life. I'm not saying, but the problem with it is they don't allow then or acknowledge and validate other people's superpowers, your heart, your cooking ability, your listening ability, your empathy, your ability to be slow, deep, your ability to da. That, it's as, part of their plan is that is relegated as to something less important, less. Okay, less is more. And so, but the projection, and until you understand what is projection, it's the false accusation of someone else being guilty or being wronged for the very ills that they are committing. So what they're doing is they're projecting their own fears and inadequacies onto a wall, which happens to be a screen of you. Like you're just sort of there. You're not the guilty, but you happen to be the screen or recipient or observer for this video of their projection, which means you're not worthy of talking to. So in other words, it's the withholding. It's oftentimes not what they do, it's oftentimes what they don't do. And so it's very important that you get a clear vision to see through their sort of stealthy ways. So smooth criminal, undetectable, not being able to be perceived by the senses. Peace and harmony, I didn't think this would ever happen to me. And by the way, our viewers who are apologizing to be here, do not ever apologize for having a video to ask a question, to need resources, support in dialogue, to get some things sorted out, fleshed out, and where do you stand amid the rubble? Where are you still standing wrong? So you can see sort of the rubble, like the small shell that you're breaking out of, breaking through of, seeing that you're better than you thought. You're better than the covert narcissist led you to believe. You can dance too. I mean, Michael Jackson, okay? I mean, you can dance also. You can sing also. You can also. But they don't recognize and give life and validity. So the projection means the very ills or wrongs are thrown up onto a blank wall like a projection. That they, even though they have been witnessed in the wrong, doing something wrong, being human, they don't like that feeling of having to change, be a grown-up, getting out of the toddler clothes, okay, instead of always having their tantrum, getting their way, it's, and not listening to others. So in business, no one else can be present to have an input. They want their way. They've got the louder shoes. They've got the louder voice. They've got their 6'5", their whatever. There's people in business who will also do that, pushing their weight around. Meaning you don't even have a chance. They're like, you're wrong. You haven't even said anything. And they're just like, this is, and you're like, they put up this wall. Meaning, where they have their shortcomings, where they are uncertain of their own self, but they don't ever have a public admittance. So a covert narcissist has a public and then a private self, but the private self does not ever get shared. Why? Because it's for them only. They sort of are that greed of feelings, thoughts, time. They need it all. So they don't want even a penny, okay, even a dollar, to go to anyone else. It all has to be mine. So it all has to have my picture on it. It all has to be that, there is no like yoking, equal yoking, okay? And then there's always an unequal yoking. And so even if people hurt or suffer or are missing out because of this projection, they have done something, okay, and it'll usually be within the scope of that same relationship. So the covert narcissist, how do they project? How do they hurt? How do they maim? Okay, even though you have witnessed them learning, figuring something out, making a mistake, you witness them and being human, okay, that in that very situation that you have known, you're not holding against them. You're human, okay? Why I can't hold this against you, okay? Britney Spears, whatever, okay? But because they are so uncomfortable being human, getting older, getting a gray hair, not being 20, not being 30, having a wrinkle, needing to transition, calling, it reality, calling it real, okay? Rather than that, they would rather project, oh, you're bad, almost like a child. In business, you're at a boardroom and they're acting like a child. You're bad. They might as well be holding their binky, sucking their thumb, and trying to get out of my little toy box. That's basically what happens when they project, trying to make you feel scared, running away, as if you need to cry to your mommy, daddy, when you have that sort of parenting and growth within, but they don't acknowledge and validate. So they'll keep others in that lowly, but you cannot survive as a 3rd or 6-year-old the way that they do. They get away with these tantrums. Why? No one can question or doubt because they've got this size 15 ego, the size H whatever, they've got, this that they always think will predominate, their nose, the Pinocchio. That can be someone's, you know what I'm saying? They're always, it's like talk to the hand. There's always a disparity, always Coca-Cola. There is no sort of coming to Jesus, kumbaya, we're human, and that's okay. They don't experience that. That is very painful to a lot of other people. The projection, as if, you can't be in the little clique. You can't be in our little club. You can't, so in business, what is the covert narcissist? So you always just see the back of them. You don't ever get their attention. The gossip. So the sort of, attend to, then they want you to sort of attend to all the negative, the gossip. You are like, focus on the wrong, the bad. You are terrible. They want you to sort of they want you to be clad and having that ringing out within a hollow that they create within. So the ignoring, so they have a very insidious tactic. The way that they do this, peace and harmony, this seems like a lot. Well, until you've had this in your kindergarten, your high school, your junior high, your workplace, your family, your neighborhood, and it's basically, they're like an emotional, it's like they want you gone. They want truth gone. They want certain realities, as if, these are the people who have plastic surgeries. you know, it's okay to grow up. Don't worry about it. So what, like Madonna, another talent, but it's okay. You don't have to be, wearing these braids. I'm just saying it's a pressure. It creates a pressure, an internal combustion within others because they can't figure out this, the projection. They don't see this sort of fog that they use as a way to inoculate or sort of shut down their enemy, which means anyone who needs their attention, anyone who needs to get level with them. Hey, I want to level with you. Oh my, you say that to a covert narcissist, there ain't no level. They're already bent. They're already in the penthouse. Yeah, what do you got to talk to me about? These are the people who, there ain't no ever bringing me down sort of mentality. The big bully in the school. They're going to kick sand in your face, kick dirt in your eye, play dirty, in love, how does this look? They just emit a lack of acknowledgement and validation. Covert, meaning it's not what you see, it's what you don't see. And this is very difficult until you've been through and seen the projection, because the projection, and I feel, is always equal in kind to what the truth that you have acknowledged. So it's a very, it's a law that you can kind of sort of see through their stealth bomber ness when you see the projection, meaning they will falsely accuse you of needing that which they are. They're humanists, which you can't keep again, you can't hold against them, but you can certainly say, I deserve to stop being living uninformed. I need to stop living unencumbered, inhibited by this lack, apparent, and then it's a lack. And then they will project the lack that they have onto others. You're not intelligent. You're not this skin color. Your hair ain't this, that. Your toenails, what else is it going to be about? What else, they're going to run out of things. And usually when you do have intelligence, you do have the right skin color. You do have the right hair texture, color, You are on the right side of the tracks. You are, thinking that it's great, to watch these Peter Pans, but it's another thing to leave the Coliseum. Guess what? People fainted. Just look at the power. So if you ever doubt, you have to understand that it's very difficult to sort of lead, how many people are still, trying to live up to a level of life that is someone else's doing or idealization, that poof, why aren't you Peter Pan like me? And instead, why aren't you like you? And what's wrong with that? Why the covert narcissist is you're not measuring up to some sort of unspoken best. Why aren't you your best? Why isn't that validated? Because Peter Pan ain't all about, he ain't all about that. It ain't in the fly. It's like an MDMA trip or whatever these people do. Why isn't this undelusion part of your total? These are your people who get addicted onto drugs, and they're so cool. Why can't you live that drug-induced life? Steven Tyler just now, what does he spend? $8 million on cocaine? I mean, these are things that are in the media. This is public knowledge. And now he's, for the sex scandal. I mean, just these are people who, they'll accuse others of the very wrongs that they are. And that's just a whole nother thing. But what I'm trying to talk then is and then sort of move into then an addiction quality where people then get addicted to this altered reality of either the altered reality that you're wrong, you're not intelligent, so you can be either addicted to a false negative self, which is problematic, or addicted then from this type of, you're then pursuing some ideal that doesn't exist. It's a pie in the sky, but it ain't in here. So that becomes problematic in a number of ways. I never wanted to have this profession. Doctors who studied to be a doctor and they end up being a comedian. Comedians who end up to be doctors. Other things back and forth that, you eventually need to come to the recognition of your own I am, and that the fact that of your own self-realization, greatness, your magic. You do have magic. You do have incredible powers to manifest, to create, to be special. You are unique. There's never been an assembling of other parts in your body other than what you are right now. Okay, you're the Lamborghini. You're your own whatever. I mean, and until that can be embraced, you're living in a disparity. You're living in a false, wobbly reality that the covert narcissist will create. And the projection, which is incredibly insidious, until you can really develop the eyes to see it. So it's those people who will lie. Even though there's truth and facts out of it, they'll just say, you're wrong. Even though there's all sorts of they'll continue to say it. Like it's like they do not live in an emotional check and balance. The projection, once again, they will very much, it's like an emotional sword, or sort of an emotional invisible sword that they'll insinuate, like, you're not worth the time of day. You're not worth being honest to. You're not worth sharing this knowledge. So there's a lot of disparity, inequality, which then the computation becomes low self-worth, low self-esteem. This is a plague that basically can run an economy. It's like, if you can think low self-worth, it's like running the economy. You can think about that and think again, the people who are trappings of Facebook. You're a nobody unless you have this, that, Instagram. God help and God love the economy. Our TikTok, that addiction. So, those TikTok musics, that's the dopamine. That's the Michael Jackson. That's the smooth criminal. You've been hit by a smooth criminal. I mean, what is he talking about? I don't know. Did he write that? I don't know. But you need to know what you need to know. So, and another thing, just like I always remember watching, or in the area of Oprah, and thinking after Oprah, like, I always idolized, she's so amazing, but then afterwards I felt like such a nobody, nothing, and lost. That's you're not then validating your viewership. You're not giving credit where credit is due. There's a certain feeling that you have to realize, and I'm not saying anybody's a covert narcissist or all of these things. What I'm saying, though, for your own checks and balances, is that it's okay for you to go, you know what, peace and harmony, I have a checks and balance, and my credibility jar, it ain't filled up, and it should be. Which means your big gumball jar, peanut butter jar, you better have some dollars in there of self-worth, credibility. That bank account gets very low, depleted, and negative in the debt while you're trying to sort of solidify a reality. Oftentimes, if it's driven by this disparity or this passive aggressive projection, covert narcissists are famous or infamous for. The idolatry. You want to be like them, but you can't. Why can't you be like you? What's wrong with that? The covert narcissist, being you, it's not good enough. You're supposed to be like whatever else in the story. And I know there's like a lot of wizard R's, and they have the flying monkeys. And I know that there's a book on that. We need to have some self-discovery here. You can look, the flying monkeys, other people who sort of end up doing their work for them. Why? Because the covert narcissist, they're the gossipers. They've got this sort of underground, ways that they can sort of continue to say, you're a woman, so therefore, you like this, so therefore, so there, it's like old calculating that they're trying to say you're not and they are. And again, it's the imbalance of the seesaw, where if you're just end up going floating, or they end up going floating and they're flying and you're stuck here on the ground. That's how a covert narcissist. So I think a covert narcissist, if they're not living the lie, floating, flying, dying, they feel like they're that squat on the ground. If you ever been a kid, you're off the seesaw. Okay, maybe kids don't do that anymore. Remember being on the ground? Hey, this isn't any fun on it anymore. I'm on the, so there isn't any play. If you don't, there is no self-esteem. This is not funny. This can go on for a chronic and long time. You cannot see it and know it until your 50s, 60s, or 70s. I didn't know that this is what low self-esteem did, peace and harmony. I didn't know that this is the ramifications of not being acknowledged and validated and being subjected to a projection. Meaning, so if, for example, if they're, getting back to projection again, so what is it that you feel you're being blamed for? The things that the criticism, if you are not being acknowledged and validated for the you, like I've said, your limbic system feels, absorbs, and interprets, and your behavior will flourish and emanate from that fight or flight. Okay, either you're going to be constantly drawn into a fight, either within yourself. That's fun. Talk about being hard on yourself as a result of a covert narcissist. Constantly feeling you don't measure up. I'm not. I suck. I can't. I won't. I'm afraid. You cannot have an I am based on the negative. And this is a ramification. This is low self-esteem. What does it look like? Living, breathing. Behaving in a lot of ways that are trying to clamor in ineffective ways for the value, for the feeling that they are missing, that they are not knowing, that they know is there. And so as if, they're always trying to see as if they're leaving you behind, leaving you in the dust, leaving you in rumbles. You're not exciting enough. This is usually the covert, like if you can't get their attention, if you can't get the truth, if you can't get the remedial, hey, what's up with you? Why do if you can't get that, then it's like they're they're starving people almost of knowledge so that they are weak, entering the workplace, the school place, the home place, the love place, whatever place. they will weaken then their opponent or the other that they have to show up through really, literally a lack of attention, feeding, spiritual nourishment. There is then a symbolic and literal weakening of the opponent. Their knees are shaking. Their doubt, that is weakness. They're trying to play and then exploit. So if people then believe that, they get people then believing a false reality about themselves. You are not as important, valuable. Your skin, your hair, your fingernails, your toenails. What else you got? Your belly button. So it becomes ludicrous. I'm blowing it out into the ludicrous so you can see it. You might not be able to see and understand projection because they will have people living in a non-reality. So, your age is not valued. For example, ageism, racism, sexism, these all, I believe, have a foundation, this disparity in that sort of secret, we're superior and we're going to make sure to keep down. Even in other cultures, sexes, skin colors, hair types, I don't care, shoe polish maker type, whatever it is, there's going to be a protection of their rising and then the others falling. So they like that disparity. They don't like, they like the extremes. It's really, really, really strange when you really look at it. And until you can say, that is strange and I have the sanity. In other words, I not buying into that false reality, not saying that I have to have my house, a certain, all these false assumptions appearing real, the projection is a way that what is the solution, peace and harmony? It's to stop getting out of that computation of that false reality appearing as if it's more desirable and you don't have any. So that's what they're banking on. That's what their profit loss margin is. That's what their profit, it's a profit sheet. It's an emotional profit sheet. And it depends on breaking down the self-esteem or self-value of others. And people can work, very hard to try to win some sort of, peace and harmony. I've got great self-esteem. Do you really? Or is that too scary to realize? That is another question for another video, but it's that lie. It's where you can see and know and allow that to be tapped into. So what I want you to do for now is and what I want to understand also is that just like a covert narcissist, a Pinocchio, they'll throw others into roles that aren't truly them, truly false, and then with brainwashing, you are so bad, you are so wrong, or exploiting it. Like yes, I made a mistake, and then they'll continue to keep that going, that false, you're mistaken, keep that same, they can draw a mistake, they can keep a bad story going for an hour about you, a conversation, a decade. Bringing up always, remember when you made that mistake? Remember, wasn't that, and they'll keep it going. And you can never outlive, out-talk, out-explain and justify. Don't step into their sandbox. Just be like, I don't got no sand on me. I don't even got no box on me. I'm so not in this. Like their projections cannot reach you. Once you see projections for what they are and say, I'm not falling face into that trap, or furthermore, basing a life on trying to um, level out the trap, which is something that can't be leveled and shouldn't be leveled. Like there's other grandeur that you can find beyond and within that they that they don't think is of like kind, so it doesn't matter, it's not as of importance. And and let them, and there's always the feeling that they want to save, um help the covert narcissist, that hey, you can come out of your covert ways, you can acknowledge and validate me, it's okay, you can, that don't try to make your life about that. Don't try to make your identity, your value, based on that. And realize what self-esteem then can result. Low self-esteem can result as a problem of that erroneous projection. You don't look like me. You don't look like Peter Pan. I mean, look at Michael Jackson. I mean, he looks like a little Peter Pan. I mean, he's amazing, but I'm just saying you don't have to then be according to a mold, a non-reality, or admit to a lie or a falsehood that you did not commit, that you are not bad, wrong, terrible, worthy of being ignored, worthy of being left alone, worthy of being lied to, worthy of being not shared, not included. All these wrongs that you feel, you have to get these out so that they can be righted and reconciled within and without sin. So there's like another, like as if you're sinful. And that's all. They're not the proclamation that because they get from the inside out, it's sort of like the inner cut. It just sort of continues to cut from within. That's low self-esteem in action. That's sort of always feeling you have to right some sort of wrong. Maybe there's some sort of right that you've kind of got right. And that's okay. That's good enough. But, that is good enough. You are enough, have enough. So you've got all these abilities. It's not thinking like the covert narcissist and thinking, why are they all having the fun? What is it that I don't get? And instead being embarrassed that you're mature, growing up, can't disrespect like that, can't ignore like that, can't abuse like that, abusing your body, drugs, all sorts of other different situations where you're trying, you do not need to keep up with the bad boy, bad girl, and instead, and not feeling that you're boring, unexciting, unattractive, sleepy, dopey, wompy, whatever all, that you might feel that you're less than or dwarfed, from whatever sort of childhood rhyme. Let them stay in that. I mean, eventually they'll realize that there ain't no more lollipops for the 3-year-olds, and all their pacifying that they will do. So there's before we wrap it up, I'm just going to get a little bit more into sort of the covert narcissist always sort of pacifying. They're always just sort of indulging of their senses, and you might sort of witness this and saying that's over-indulgence. You might sort of, or that's not healthy for you, the way that they eat, the way that they spend, the way that they think, the way that they treat people. But there's other things that are just really endearing about them. The fact that they have a magic carpet, or a magic car, or a magic tablet, or whatever else that they have, that you're not saying, but you can engage with me. So And then you're always feeling dwarfed. You're signing up for dwarf jobs. You're you're always feeling like you have to be the small guy. And then the problem with the projection, though, is that eventually in those little dwarfs, they're going to get it too bottled up. They're going to eventually say, and the problem with the covert narcissist is that you don't want that internal sort of desire to equal like energy with like, you know, and then have you sort of be like the the Jack in the Box. Oh yeah, we had very stimulating toys. The Jack in the Box. You'd push this little clown in this metal box, and you'd crank this thing, and then eventually, if you cranked it long enough, that thing would scare you. It would pop out, and it would be jumping around. Oh my God, that scared me. It's a similar thing. If you're living your life afraid of yourself, afraid you're gonna blow up at your family, blow up at the job, road rage, eat rage, gamble rage, overspend, you're afraid something's going to happen. You've got this Jack in the Box mentality. You're just wondering that eventually something is going to bottle and it's going to get enough internal tension and combustion where you might then become covert, withdrawn, quiet, not sharing, that, as a retaliation, as a way of acting in or acting out, acting in, doing and sabotaging onto yourself the very wrongs that were committed. This is deep psycho stuff. Yeah, well, we got to give you the goods here. We got to give you the nuggets of gold. Why? Life is too short, yo. There are too many things going on in the world. I'm here to help. We're here together, in it together, okay? And that is hopefully okay and fair enough. However, the knee-jerk reaction, hitting you under the knee and your foot goes off. Oh, you're trying to prove how tough, how strong, how real, how fly, how magic, how Pixie, how Dixie, how whatever. And you do not need to be, and this is the tactic, drawn into conflict. So part of the covert narcissist is the sort of drawing others into conflict, bringing others into conflict, arousing conflict where there is none, okay? There's peace, harmony, there's this, and then there's going to be a conflict. There's going to be something that they are going to instigate. They create conflict. They're the antagonist. So they can create an internal antagonist. If you internalize these people, covert narcissists, as your role models, this can be like an inner antagonist. You gotta let that person out. It's just like, yeah, you can go now, internal self-sabotager. Let all those fly away. Let them go. Let them go a lot. The internal saboteur. Oh my God. I mean, this is a great Vera question. There's a lot in here. I mean, just like there's so much. So drawing into conflict as if you're not okay if you're not fighting. And if you're not that type of fighter, oh, you can't, you're not a leader. You're not a da-da-da. You're not a, because you don't want to engage in the lies and you're not able to stomach the lies. You're too soft. You're too weak. You can't, this is business. This, whatever other, no, it's not. You don't have to live by the sham ways, we forgot to stamp this, so that means it's all not real. Just sort of moving like the rules, things that you don't know. There's a constant disparity. to keep their plates in motion and to keep your plates from not being in motion. So be wary of that when you're sort of drawn into that either equal isolating, meaning they've sent you away and you're going to send I'll show you who, you're behaving to yourself. I'll show you who's going to send you away, and you send yourself away. You haven't gotten out of the house for 2 years. You haven't gone to the grocery, they want everything catered and delivered, and as if you're having to do for yourself is repugnant, disgusting. Why should you have to fix your own when you can just, there's a lot of insinuating going on. There's just a lot of insinuation that isn't spoken, that's like emotional bullies. Emotional affairs. They can have the emotional affairs with others. What does this one look like before we wrap it up? They're just really giving all the good stuff, all the teaching, and it's like they're almost cheating with the degree of infatuation. They might as well be, they're not there, they're not attending, they don't have a hand in, they don't have a hand down, hand up, or a hand at all. And it's just kind of like, they're just like expect, so then you're saying why, and then they just expect people, when you then have that equal tantrum and say, I don't want to live this way. I am grown up. It is okay to be mature. It's okay to do adulting. There's nothing wrong, scary by having to take care of yourself. The covert narcissist, abuse of their body, not socializing, not acknowledging, just keeping all to themselves. The hoarders, they've got garages, attics, just basements full, and apparently they don't have time. There's this imbalance. You can see it in so many places. Do not fall for the Pinocchio. Do not fall that they're smelling all this stuff and you can't smell your own roses. Their nose is big enough, they're going to do all the smelling for everyone around here, if that's okay, and cut off your nose in the meantime. To cut off your nose to save your face. You constantly feel like you have to save face. Who am I? Do not give equal energy, and do not provide that same, do not engage in that same drawing into conflict. Do not accept the invitation. Do not be blind to what is happening. Do not become ignorant. Do not become unknowing. Be okay to be smarter. Be okay to be in your higher self. The ability to see the reality, the fact that this person does this, and say, that's, I'm not engaging. I'm not going to accept the invitation. I'm not accepting the flare. I'm not accepting, I'm not engaging. You don't have to. But that's how they ruin and destroy. If they can get you to feel and believe that insinuation, and they have you angry, upset, sad, crying, questioning yourself, doubting yourself, that their projection does not equal the situation at hand. So, in other words, the cold shoulder, it does not equal the at hand. They're constantly. So, in other words, you can never emerge as any learned, wise, becoming correct, any of the positive terms. Oftentimes you feel you can't embody simultaneously. So it's just a little bit of a ramification of sort of, and then, as if the star is gone from your eye. It's just kind of like that Michael Jackson effect. If you have to literally rip yourself away from the TikTok. I mean, God love the people who are growing up with the six. That is so addictive. Those 6 seconds, six, what? And then next thing you know, I mean, you're always sort of on that, and then your own reality just, that's what they want. They want others to deny your reality so you can all get the tickets to whatever they're doing and disinvest yourself. Like, that is the wrong. Learn critical thinking. I would say one of the skills you will truly learn is that of critical thinking. If you can learn to engage, flip your light on, they're trying to snuff you out, extinguish you. We're going to wrap it up in just a little bit. Realize that is a manipulation and a tactic. That is a bully trying to eclipse your wisdom, your brilliance, the big nose Pinocchio effect. You're not smelling anything. I smell what's happening. No, they do not have the bigger eyes, the bigger eyelashes, the bigger wumpity womb, the Michael drop, ding dong, the whatever, all that they're bullying. They're always trying to put something else, like an emotional obstacle. And you don't have to live in the obstacle. In fact, you don't. You must learn that, you have to then just sort of realize and sort of do a workaround and work within. And then the work is realizing then how that treatment then either is acted within or acted without, and then alchemizing it to become that of within, and really that value, when you can really earn that inner skill of saying, I see that as a tool of manipulation, and I'm not being drawn by the neck by it. That is not me. That is not the mind-body connection that I have right now. Rip your eyes away from the screen. Turn off the volume. Get away. I mean, even though it's attractive, it's attractive. It's da-da-da-da. Acknowledge that, but then also say, nope, I know the effect, and I can dial that down. I can dial that off. I have magic within. It's not all the Peter Pan effect, the Michael Jackson, that only he's going to melt others down, the fact that they cannot even control themselves. So realize, this is like a crazy conversation, but what I'm trying to help you realize is that you're going to have to sort of get out of that real extreme buzz, of self-questioning, self-doubt. That will run for a long time, just like a Michael Jackson concert. I mean, those people never live it down. Just like a Gwyneth Paltrow, who isn't going to live down that she went on a date with Brad Pitt. She's still got her gun. I mean, there are certain things that you might really value, but it doesn't mean you have to have your closet, your room, your paintings, your car, your refrigerator filled with all that about them. What about you? Okay? You're amazing. Their problem, don't worry about it. It's hard not to embody it after you've embodied it for so long. Once again, the Michael Jackson concert. Who wasn't learning the dance, the dance in school, wearing the clothes, wearing the glove, the pants? I mean, realize the iconic figures that are in your life and in society, and then therefore replace, what is a true mentor for you? Not the one that you were dragged to blindly, or maybe da-da-da, but what is a true mentor for you that gives you a feeling of equality? Martin Luther King, I have a dream. You feel included in the dream, don't you? Don't you feel sort of included? Michael Jackson, the Pinocchio, Michael Jackson starting out, just look at me. Like, he doesn't even come out, like, people start melting, because he's incredible given this, okay? Because you're incredible doesn't mean you exploit or... Anyway, what I'm trying to say, before we wrap it up, you can be incredible, okay? And have like a whole spectrum of good and bad, the keys of the piano, whatever. What I'm wanting to give as the message is that there's a certain thing you feel included in, and a certain thing you feel not included in. A denying of. So it's very difficult to see denying of, a starving of, you don't have any books, food, So, okay, but Michael Jackson coming out and then being, I idolized me. He doesn't even move. He just, look at my jawline. And you might stand there for 2 minutes and people are, even though they're looking, so excited. The Jack in the Box, you have to realize, where is your hand on the lever and where can you let it go and stop the tension and stop that sort of ding dong dodo, cranking up the Jack in the Box song and then having it pop out. Just put the Jack in the Box away. It's okay. You can even donate it. Stop playing, that seesaw effect where you don't own the magic. You don't own, and that sort of denial and projection of, and be okay with the real, the mysterious within, the ability to grow and expand, or the feeling of being okay beyond words, that it's okay that you can have regular sleep patterns. It's okay that you don't throw your life away. It's okay that you don't get lost in crime movies or other things that you don't need to. It's okay to say, not me, and not today, and not anytime, because I am me, I am free. That's where I want to be, and that is really better than idolatry.